Hello, everyone. We are here today with 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂𝗁𝗂 for the Launch Metrics LinkedIn Leaders Live. Unfortunately, today we had some issues, so we are doing a registration instead of a live. Apologies again, but you will get our content anyway. So welcome, first of all, 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, no, of course. And discussing with us the digital strategies and trends that we've been seeing working very well this summer for brands in order to improve their brand performance. So I don't even know when and where to start with all the amazing brands that we've been working on in your career. So I'm letting you introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm the founder of 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂𝗁𝗂. 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂𝗁𝗂 is the first digital PR agency of its kind. So we are focused on the online space. We work with digital first brands and personalities, and we focus on 3 services. So one of which being digital PR, one is influencer marketing, and one is social media strategy. And we work with brands across fashion, lifestyle, beauty, and travel.
I mean, the best of everything in this moment. I feel like you're in an amazing spot considering everything that is going on in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about summer. So, I mean, I don't know about the US, but as we were mentioning before backstage, I mean, everybody in Europe is on vacation right now. Everybody is either in Mykonos or Ibiza. But joking aside, I feel like, you know, there is a lot of focus on summer for the newest generation, such as Gen Z and millennials. Analysts are saying how this new generation are very much focused on finding a time to unwind and unlock during this period. And that's very important for brands to understand, considering that, you know, these 2 categories are actually the one that are getting the predominant in terms of spending power in this moment. And they are also quite different from previous generation in terms of what they actually want. For example, they are very much focused on, you know, sustainability or social consumerism and things like that. So we do feel like it's vital for brands to adapt their strategy and their summer offering and their marketing strategies, of course, in order to target this audience in the correct way. So on your side, how do you see actually brands approaching this?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this, but I think it's really, really important before even thinking about your specific product offering to think about the values of the brand as a whole. So Gen Zs and millennials are really, really passionate about making the world a better place. They want to support brands that are doing their part. So not just saying that you're sustainable, of course, that's important, but making sure you're not greenwashing the brands, that you're putting practices in place that are actually sustainable. They also really demand that brands stand for something. So I think giving back really has to be woven into the mission of your brand, and you can't be afraid to take a stance. I think a lot of times in the past, especially, brands have really stayed neutral out of fear of creating controversy or alienating some of your audience. And that's really no longer an option. People are really looking for brands to be very clear about where they stand with different cultural moments and opinions, and really sharing that through their marketing efforts. So I think brands really have to have clear values, clear missions, and be transparent about their actions. So in keeping in this, when you think about summer product offerings, I would definitely recommend that brands offer less products, but do them incredibly well, and be the best in the market for what you offer. I think honing in on what makes your brand unique is really important. And a lot of brands that have found success in this day and age are a little bit more focused on a niche target audience. You can't be all things to everyone, and it's okay to have that really niche audience that your brand is targeting. So in terms of marketing products this summer, I think one of the easiest things that brands can do is to think about what makes your content interactive. So people want to do something when they land on your post, especially on social media. So make it engaging and interactive. Something that everyone can do is to use like the polls and the stickers functions on Instagram stories. And that's a really great way to learn more about what your audience is looking for and give them back, you know, what they're really looking for from your brand. You know, whether it's something as easy as saying like, do you prefer this red or blue t-shirt, and then producing the color that your audience likes. It's a really easy way to tap into what your audience is really looking for from you. I think a great example of that is one of our clients is called 𝗪𝗂. They are a beauty platform, and they also work with 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗺𝗀𝗃, who is a beauty influencer, and they created this skincare brand called Monday Born, and they're really pioneers in creating a community-driven brand, and they also use a pre-order drop model. So they actively engage their community, and they have something called the MB experience, where they tap the audience to talk about everything from like lab samples. They're working together to figure out what products they want, what are the formulations and ingredients they want in those products, even what the packaging looks like. So they work directly with their community to find out what they want from the brand. And then they release those in limited edition drops to pre-sell each product. So they're only creating wet spots so that they're not wasting any product. And they're also making sure that everyone's receiving that freshest possible batch of product. So I think they're a really great example of a brand that understands the importance of listening to your community and creating the brand that they want. And they also reduce waste and create a truly sustainable, vegan and cruelty-free brand. And they found a ton of success doing so. So I definitely think listening to your community is highly key in the summer as well as ongoing.
No, absolutely. And I feel like, you know, on the online, on digital, it's very, and social, it's so easy, not easy, but like there is so much opportunity to actually listen what they actually listen what your customer wants. And so, you know, take appropriate action in that regard, as you said.
Absolutely.
So also, I mean, I feel like when we talk about summer, it's very hard not to discuss and mention like 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗆 as a brand. They do have an amazing success in during the summertime. I feel like, you know, BOF called them the future of retail and brand marketing, because of course they do have, it's a great e-commerce platform. They have a lot of data-driven backbone, but what they actually excel on, I think, is the influencer ecosystem that they have behind. They have been growing so much with the Gen Z and millennials generation, creating like a very good niche assortment that actually speak to those targets. And also they are focusing a lot on experience and creating these, you know, these events and this experience for the influencer that they speaks actually to the target audience as well. And in fact, if you think about, you know, this summer, there is this ongoing, you know, hashtag #RevolveSummer that is being going around. I'm seeing everybody from being in Capri to being like on all these beautiful places like the Bahamas and wherever. And this campaign is actually been very successful so far, generating more than $10 million in MIV, thanks to posts like celebrities like, you know, Camila Coelho or 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗆. So for you, what do you think are actually the drivers that make 𝗪𝗂𝗪 a success in the digital and social sphere?
Yeah, I think 𝗪𝗂𝗪 is always ahead of the curve in digital and influencer marketing, and they definitely aren't afraid to take risks. And I think a lot of times that really nets big results for them. So like you were saying, influencer trips are such a huge part of the brand, showing Revolve around the world. And I think that really builds the lifestyle of the brand and ensures that they always have that really eye-catching, engaging content across all their social channels. So I think it's not surprising that they continue to lean into events even during the pandemic. We saw that they did socially distanced events, and they really jumped right back into doing those influencer trips when the world was starting to open up again a little bit. Again, it's closing a little bit, but they managed to kind of take advantage of that time period when they were able to take advantage of influencer trips. And I think that made a lot of noise during a time when not a lot of travel was happening and a lot of brands were staying away from influencer trips. So they were really able to take over that travel space and be able to work with these influencers during a time when not a lot of other people were shooting content in Turks and Caicos or Bermuda or Positano. And I also think Revolve has built up a really nice reputation for working with these influencers for years. And as a marketer, I think it's really clear from my standpoint that they have really authentic relationships with these influencers. You see the Revolve team themselves becoming influencers in their own right. And it just feels really, really natural whenever they're on a trip with these influencers or spending time together. They're having a great time. They spend time outside of work. They're clearly friends with these influencers. And I think that, from my eyes, is such a key element of the success of Revolve, is the authenticity of the relationships that they have with the influencers that they work with. And they even take it one step further. They're building brands with influencers like Ami Song and Camila Coelho. So it's very clear that there is that authentic relationship there. I also love that they're constantly working with a range of influencers. So you see them working with micro influencers as well as macro influencers. So they're hitting that more niche audience. They're making sure they're constantly garnering that content they need, but then they're also garnering the massive reach from the macro influencers. So they're making sure they're covered on all fronts.
No, absolutely, for sure. Something that I feel like we've been touching today is both the sense of community and the sense of authenticity. And I feel like if there is a platform that lately has been really playing an amazing game for those two aspects, let's say, is actually TikTok. I mean, everybody has been seeing how this platform has been very successful in such a short time. And we recently, as Launchpad, we have published a report on in partnership with TikTok about the power of creators and content in 2021. I myself am a victim of the power of content from TikTok because I want to have, no more side on my, hair, like no side part is the center. I'm a millennial, but I want to be a Gen Z, of course. But like I feel like in this, going back to the report, I feel like they've been, we have been seeing so much good data coming out from TikTok and seeing how trends actually they are starting from there and they are snowballing and have been an amazing impact. Things like style hack have been, producing more than I think 100 billion views online. That is actually insane. And if I think about summer trends, actually, I mean, my social media, my TikTok has been inundated with summer bikini styling hacks that I'm terrified to try. But I feel like there is so much, kind of this new type of influencing that is going on on TikTok, for example, giving advice more than pushing products. So what do you think are those, the success of this type of trends, in this type of content, like the tips and tricks why are so successful in social media? And how do you think brands can capitalize on them?
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading a lot about how Gen Z gets a lot of their news through social media. So I think it makes total sense that they'd want to really learn and be educated through these videos, whether it's like beauty or fashion, travel, wellness, cooking. This kind of reminds me of the baked feta recipe on TikTok. I don't know if you fell into this earlier this year as well, but feta was selling out everywhere. Everyone was making this baked feta recipe. So in the summer, I think it's only natural that we're trying to find ways to get more out of the pieces we're wearing, whether it's swimsuits like you were mentioning or other things that we want to style and wear. So I think the takeaway for brands is to always find ways to educate audiences in a way that feels really light and fun, different ways to style your pieces, fun style hacks, beauty hacks for ways to use the product multi-purpose. And I think it's also a great way to build new video content, whether it's for stories, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels. And I know also a lot of brands have been having trouble being able to keep up with creating video content in-house. So I would definitely recommend considering bringing on creators. It can be micro influencers who can really develop that great video content for you. They know how to tap into different TikTok trends and use the different video transitions that are offered on the app. So I think that's a really great way for brands to continue to build that video content. I'm sure you saw the news about Instagram recently talking about how they're no longer a photo sharing app, they're an entertainment app. They're definitely leaning into video content as well. So whether you're working with creators or you're building video content into your photo shoots, I think it's just a great thing for brands to keep in mind to make sure they're tapping into these different tips and tricks and tutorials on an ongoing basis.
Absolutely, for sure. So talking about we started talking about trends. Let's dive deeper a little bit on this. I mean, now we are in mid-August, so I think we get a pretty good idea of what has been working and what has not been working for this summer, the 2021. So first of all, I will ask you, which are the other summer trends that are you seeing are very trending online in this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think nostalgia has been having a huge moment all year, maybe because we're looking back on fun memories we had pre-COVID. But everything from like curtain bangs to colorful plastic rings to like claw clips and butterfly clips. And I think it's only natural that we're seeing nostalgia come back on social media as well. So there was this watermelon sugar trend on TikTok where people were using VHS filters to make it look like they were throwing back to a video from the 90s from their own childhood, but using a kid or a younger relative to create that video. I saw a lot of Instagram story filters that made it look like content was shot on disposable cameras. Lots of inspiration content from the 90s and early 2000s. So lots of Princess Diana and Kate Moss content on my feed. I even saw some brands using like old flip phones to show copy on Instagram. So they were just kind of covering up the screen to show copy in a really interesting way.
I need to draw a lot of razor.
Yes, amazing. So, I mean, I think we've all loved it. It's really fun. It throws back to nice memories. So nostalgia is a really great way for brands to connect with their audience. And it's also just really fun and silly. I also saw 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗃. He's an influencer, but he did this outfit of the day challenge that I saw absolutely everywhere this summer. So he was doing, essentially it's like a slow-mo video where you're shooting 4 different outfits to a song, which is called Touch It. So that was a video trend that I personally saw a lot, whether it was on TikTok or Reels. I mean, video trends are always really, really fast moving on TikTok as well as on Reels, but it's a great way, of course, for brands to tap into different trends that are happening, looking at trending songs and seeing what's kind of happening in the platforms. And that's kind of an easy way to get additional views. But I think those are kind of some of the top trends that I saw throughout the summer.
And which are the brands that are actually tapping onto these brands and actually so they're winning this summer? Since I mean, you work with so many interesting brands and personalities, I'm sure you have the deets on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned Sunday Born earlier. I definitely think that their community-driven approach has done really well for them this summer. They recently launched a cleansing duo that did really well for them. A personal favorite of mine in the beauty space is Starface. So they came out with star-shaped acne patches that I've been seeing everywhere. And they're expanding into new product categories, but they're also a really great example of a brand that's targeting a very niche audience of people who have acne-prone skin and still celebrating the skin that you're in. I think Frankie's Bikinis is also a brand that I've been seeing everywhere this summer, obviously tapping into the summer season with swimwear, but they have a really robust influencer program and they also tap into limited edition collaborations that I always want. So whether it's with phone cases or Ella Yoga swimwear, I feel like they found a way to always be in the spotlight through these limited edition collaborations. I also just think any brands that are really tapping into TikTok in a big way have been winning, especially in the skincare space. So The Ordinary, Glow Recipe, and 𝗟R𝘂𝗃 have all been doing really fantastic this summer because they're an affordable price point. They have that like no frills approach to beauty. It's all about science-led ingredients, but they've tapped into TikTok in a big way. And I've been seeing them all over that platform. And I've also been seeing that just in general, skincare and TikTok influencers have been on the rise with everyone talking about skincare on that platform. So any sort of those science-led skincare brands have definitely been winning this summer as well. And I think just brands that are having fun, similar to Frankie's Bikinis. 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗃 is a hair accessories brand that's relatively small, but I've been seeing them everywhere this summer on every influencer. And again, they're very, very targeted. It's all just hair accessories, whether it's like hair clips or scrunchies. They did a collaboration with Summer Fridays, but they're a brand that our team has been talking about a lot as well.
No, absolutely. I do feel like it's the same. Is those brands that were able to actually speak a language that the community that they're creating is understanding well, because like what I feel like a lot of, especially Gen Z, but also millennials too, now they want is to have someone that speak their own language and is not speaking like is speaking to them, with them. So absolutely,
Yeah.
like, you know, as you said, like TikTok is for sure a platform that accommodate that kind of interaction for sure. And I'm sure the other brands, I mean, their, you know, platforms are like working to adjust to that trend as well.
Yeah. And I think to that point too, another thing I was going to mention is I think influencer-led brands have worked really well for people as well this summer. And it's been an ongoing trend, honestly, because people have that storyline, that personality. People want to see something behind a brand. They want to relate to the brand. So we work with Whitney Port on her athleisure line, which is called 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗃𝗁. Tina Craig on her skincare brand New Beauty. We work with the makeup artist Jillian Dempsey on her beauty line and her beauty app, which is called 𝗪. And I think having that personality and influencer behind a brand is definitely a trend we've been seeing as well. That's worked really well for brands.
Amazing. And of course, I mean, if you're 90s nostalgia, I mean, not 90s nostalgia, but early 2000 with me is perfect because we were
absolutely perfect.
We're friends always.
Yes.
And okay, so we are almost on top of our time. So I'm going to go with my last question to conclude our chat. That is, what prediction for the future of the industry and the opportunity you see for brands when they can leverage the digital channels?
Yeah, I mean, I think something to think about is that the term influencer I've seen has been getting broader and broader, and brands and audiences are looking more and more for someone who's really standing for something beyond simply sharing beauty and fashion tricks, like influencers who have a voice and a mission, and tastemakers who have careers beyond social media influence. So I think something to think about future facing is working with influencers that may not just be talking about product and selling product, but are really supporting messages on behalf of the brand. And I think this is really important as we think about consumers really demanding more mission-based brands. It's going to continue to be a trend in how we look at influence. Like I know 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂 just got a ton of press about going to the White House and encouraging vaccinations. So I think that's a really great example of this. And I also think amazing. And I also think micro-influencers are going to continue to be really important to brands as we see brands like really winning by, like I was talking about, focusing on niche audiences. I also mentioned video content. I mean, this has been something we've all been talking about for a while, but I think that's going to continue to be a really important trend. And just in general, I think it's really interesting to see that Facebook and Instagram used to be setting the trend in social media, and now it feels like they're really following the trend set by other platforms, whether it's TikTok or Clubhouse. So I think we're going to continue to see these new apps starting to take up more and more of the market share. And I don't think Instagram is going anywhere. I think they're going to continue to be important, but I would definitely encourage brands to diversify, find a presence in these new platforms, continue to test and experiment, because we don't know what else is going to be coming to market that's going to be really important.
For sure. You mentioned Clubhouse, and I would love to pick your brain on this because there is but it's going to be an entire new chapter. So
I know.
we can discuss this on our next session because that. Right, is so interesting. But I mean, this was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so fun to chat with you about all of these different trends.
No, absolutely. And thank you for sharing all this amazing info. And of course, we will be back soon again with more data and insights, and I hope to see all of you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lara.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.